Hey YouTube, how we doing today? It's a little bit later in the day, and I'm just gonna make a really quick video. This is gonna have a bit of a different kind of topics than what I had tried to build a video the other day, and this completely goes and deviates from that, and I'm gonna get back to that. That one's gonna be on Luffy. This one I'm gonna talk a little bit about Luffy, but I'm gonna talk more about the recent chapter that's coming up. This won't be so much a chapter review, but I will tell you right now there will be spoilers, so you've been warned. But I just want to talk about, some of the stuff that's happened in this crazy chapter. I'm sure all of us have read it at this point in time, and there's a lot of people saying that everyone that are I think people that were sleeping on Apoo who realized that Scratchman Apoo actually is kind of badass. Which, I mean, me personally, I always had just the notion that this dude, despite how clownish he looked and despite the general talk about Yonko and how we get to being in the new world as a fresh pirate, and how you have to kind of umbrella if you want to be able to do something. To be honest, in my own personal opinion, don't believe that was Scratchman Apoo at all. I don't think that he necessarily had to bend the knee. I think that in all honesty, he wanted to. Or that, like, in much of a situation, kind of like with Doflamingo and, it's a terrible time to blank on a name. Much like with Doflamingo and Bellamy, the hyena, okay? I think that might be what we're looking at with Scratchman Apoo. And I definitely think that Scratchman Apoo is a lot more powerful than most people give him credit for, but I think that this chapter may have overshot the moon a bit, because I think that, like, in general opinion right now, all people, they're looking out for Scratchman Apoo, and I mean, definitely you should. The ability to control sound is ridiculous. Any person who can fathom what that would be like, to be a sound man. A sound man, you know what I mean? Like, there's a good chance that, Scratchman Apoo is a Logia, not even a Paramecia. I mean, that's hard to say. And if he is a Paramecia, he's definitely one of those special Paramecia class, like Magellan. And, with that being said, and you see what Magellan can do, Katakuri can do. With that being said, I definitely think that we need to keep in mind that Scratchman Apoo, we shouldn't overhype this guy. Like, realistically, Luffy and Zoro, they just got overwhelmed. And, I say I don't want to make this a chapter review because, I feel, tons of people coming out who are trying to make videos on One Piece. And, I think that we have a lot of good people, doing these chapter reviews already. And it's not so much that I might not try and go that avenue in the future, but I think that there's a lot more theory and, just foreshadowing that we can go over in the story that, like, is completely unnoticeable. Because just like Oda's that much of a master. But definitely think about Scratchman Apoo and his ability. And I mean, I definitely think he'll be a good fight for someone, but I think that, like, in a scenario where Scratchman Apoo is going just like trying to go at Luffy, and it's a scenario where the entire place where the banquet's supposed to be going on, it's just completely empty, and Scratchman Apoo's there, and he happens to see Luffy and Zoro trying to sneak in, because we know they can't sneak. Not that they can't sneak. And, they come across Scratchman Apoo. I think in this exact same scenario, Luffy or Zoro does exactly what Kid's doing right now. And I think that, like, with what happened in this chapter, a lot of people interpreted some stuff oddly, I thought. Like, for instance, like, a large portion of people think that, like, the Tony Roppo members are who Queen was talking about when he says that he has somebody he has in mind he wants to erase right now, which in my own personal opinion, I interpreted that as that he was talking about Luffy. Like Monkey D. Luffy. Like, he needs him gone because Udon's his territory. And, other than that specific line, that, a lot of people interpreted it as that he had Tony Roppo in mind, which, I mean, that'd be hype, but I just didn't get that myself when I was reading through the first time. I think that it's also important to say that, like, this Punk Gibson, like, it's smashed Apoo. Alright? So, like, saying that he's a Logia type, that's the only way I see where this dude didn't just take massive damage. Because, I mean, we also don't know the kid didn't use aramid hockey at the end of that attack, but you know, I think that this puts it into a scenario where, like, you know, any fights where you could have seen Apoo as like top tier, those are gone because kid's about to wipe the floor with this dude. Like, I foresee that being what the next chapter is about. You know, and again, I'm not trying to make a chapter review, just some real quick thoughts, because every single review that I've like listened to so far has kind of like they definitely up their like mind state on Scratchman Apoo. They definitely have, you know, came out thinking that this dude has mad like strength, and I'm not like, you know, I'm not taking away from this dude's power. Like, I kind of like, from the moment we saw him in Archipelago, and you know, we saw what this dude could do to Kizaru, and I mean, like, you know, Kizaru obviously trolling, but you know, Scratchman Apoo still, you know what I mean, he did what he needed to do and got away. So I mean, we know how story of One Piece goes, you know, and with how battles are, you know, we definitely are putting this battle straight to Kid, and I think this is gonna like flesh out for us, you know, because, you know, all of us in the fan in the community who wanted to see, you know, Zoro and Luffy fight with, you know, Killer and Kid, and see a comparable level between them, seeing as how Kid's supposed to be Luffy's greatest rival for the One Piece, like, you know, because at this point in time in the storyline, you know, many of the different people, you know, I've heard Brago DA say it, I've heard Joy Boy say it, O'Hara say it, in so many words, you know, me obviously paraphrasing, that, you know, the Kid's got stains. He's got stains on his record that, you know, definitely take away from, you know, Oda's own words that Kid is, you know, neck and neck with Luffy for the One Piece. I mean, but then again, Luffy, obviously, it's been pointed out by them as well, has plot armor, you know, main character of the story. Now, for me, I personally think it, you know, for neck and neck as far as it is, I think that Kid has strength and tenacity just like Luffy. But unfortunately, much like Neville Longbottom, my nigga is not the chosen one. He is not the chosen one. And with that being said, I definitely think we're gonna see great things from Kid and Killer in this arc. Both of them. I know we're gonna see great things from both of them, and it's so sad because it's totally a Neville Longbottom situation. Like, this dude, he totally, like, I guarantee you this dude's got mad strength, dude. And you know, Luffy, he lost a brother. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he had to lose going into the new world. And for Kid, what Oda took from Kid was his arm. You know what I mean? And luckily, Kid's got a nice devil fruit. You know what I mean? He's got a nice devil fruit. And realistically, I mean, we don't know Kid's devil fruit, but realistically, much like Luffy was Enel's natural enemy, the strong opponent may have found his perfect match in Kid. And I mean, it's funny, you know, I've always thought, you know, Kid and Apoo is like a perfect, like, that's a destined fight. I mean, for instance, you know, Apoo is a music-based being. He's a music-based fighter, and everything that, you know, that Kid does is punk rock. I mean, his attack's name is Punk Gibson. It's like the electromagnetism ability is definitely gonna, like, just look at how, like, if you are curious of what I'm talking about when I say he's his natural enemy, just look at the way electromagnetism affects sound waves. And that's exactly what I mean. Like, sound waves, controlling sound waves, literally, like, I would say that Scratchman Apoo could have one of the second most powerful paramecia in pretty much the story. Like, in the story. Because, like, just like Enel being able to control, you know, light, you know, being able to control thunder, lightning. Not thunder, lightning. Imagine, you know, a man who can control thunder. Everything that has to do with thunder. You know, like, obviously, you know, Scratchman Apoo, he deals with music. So, you know, he's the DJ, he uses the sound waves individually. But imagine a brawler with that power. Just could hit you with the same force that the Gora Gora no Mi has. Just saying. With that being said, you know, I just was going to make this a really quick video. I'll be dropping a video here in the future. You can drop some likes, subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. Or, you know, if you just didn't like the content or you don't want to listen, I'm sorry I wasted 10 minutes of your time. Everyone have a great day. Peace.